Welcome back to Moment with the Mayor, your go-to for all things Fountain Valley, where each episode we explore fun, informative, and educational topics that showcase why Fountain Valley is truly a nice place to live.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jim Cunneen. I'm Mayor of Fountain Valley. I'm very excited to welcome our new Police Chief, Craig Heredia, to a nice place to podcast. It's going to be a wonderful conversation, getting to know the chief better. And so what I'd like to do is really start with kind of the first question. Chief, for residents who may not know you yet, can you tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to Fountain Valley?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very fortunate to be here, and I appreciate the invitation to participate in this podcast. I was raised in Orange County. I grew up in Westminster, and I had the opportunity to watch my dad play in an adult softball league at Miles Square Park.
Oh, wow.
And so my memories from childhood all the way up to present include the city of Fountain Valley. I was married in this city. All three of my kids were born in this city. I go to church in this city. I have family members who live here, and this is really home. And where I spend a lot of my life and time. And so when this job became available, it just felt like a really cool opportunity. And the interesting thing is I wasn't even looking for a job at that point in time.
Wow. Okay.
You know, I've been with the Los Angeles Police Department for over 30 years and enjoyed every moment of it and was enjoying my job there. But when that advertisement came out, I thought, wow, this could be a really, really cool next chapter. And so I applied for the position and fast forward a little bit, and here I am. The community has been very welcoming. We have a fantastic police department, really good people. We're working on some staffing issues because we do have some vacancies. And we've seen some really good progress with regard to crime reduction, community engagement, and I'm sure those are some of the things that we'll be talking about during our time together this morning.
Well, that's great. And it's been a pleasure to get to know you and your wife, your family, your parent. You're talking to your dad, and it's been great.
Yeah.
So what have been your first impressions of Fountain Valley since stepping into the role as police chief? Some of those kind of initial, okay, this is where I'm at now.
Yeah, so I think my first impression about Fountain Valley was I knew that it was a nice place to live, right? I mean, that's the city motto, but also just realizing the level of community support that we have here. There are a lot of people who show up to community meetings, including the Mile with the Mayor.
Glad you could participate.
The walks that you're doing and facilitating good opportunities for conversation. But first impression is, really it's a fantastic community. There's opportunity for growth. We've got some good projects going on right now with regard to construction and some things that are going to be just revitalizing some areas within the city, which is exciting. And then the challenge that I see is how are we going to continue to provide good quality service that the city of Fountain Valley has become accustomed to with a growing population and the additional demands on police personnel. So first impression, fantastic community, and it's a great place to be.
That's awesome. And what are some of your top priorities now that you've been in the position for a few months? I know you've touched on them at a lot of different events, but as we're sitting here, kind of what are those top priorities in your head right now?
So I would answer in two different ways depending on context.
Okay.
So I think the first context I would talk about is internally within the police department. And first priority is to I guess stabilization would be the right word. Okay. The department's been through a lot of transition since the retirement of Chief Matt Shepard. We've had 2 interims. That's a lot of change over a period of time. And just really looking at stabilizing the leadership. We had a retirement of a captain, an anticipated retirement of another captain. So there's some leadership challenges there that are exciting. So we'll be able to make some promotions here pretty soon. which I think is a great opportunity for new ideas and growth. And so stabilizing, but also looking forward to the future. The second thing internally is staffing. We are short-staffed. We don't have, we do have some vacancies where it comes to police officers and dispatch right now, but we're doing a pretty active recruiting campaign. We just had 4 officers graduate from the Golden West Police Academy about a week and a half ago.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. So they're now in the FTO program, the Field Training Officer program.
Okay.
And so that put our numbers closer to where we need to be. We've identified several more candidates that we're processing now with the goal of putting them into the Orange County Sheriff's Academy come August. So
okay.
yeah, pretty
Right around
soon
the
we're
corner.
going to have some additional people in the academy. So we have a plan to become fully staffed, but I wish it was as easy as flipping a light switch to get it now, because I'm impatient.
Yeah.
And I want to I want to be fully staffed now, because when you are fully staffed, you're able to do more. And we have a good team that is thriving and doing good work throughout the city. But I just look at how much more we'd be able to do, and how much better our community engagement would be, and how proactive we could be with more people. So it's kind of an exciting time.
That's great. And Fountain Valley is known as one of the safest cities in Orange County. What do you think are some of the factors that contribute to that success?
Good question. And I will go back to a couple of the other things that I'm looking at with regard to challenges within the city. So I talked about some things internally, but some of the things that I'm looking at specifically are homelessness and then also traffic-related challenges. Gotcha. And so focusing on those things have been, we have some good people in place, but we also have good partners, and we have a really supportive community. And so one of the things that I would encourage everybody to do is just, if you see something, say something. And where we will thrive as a city is by investing in not only the crime reduction piece, but quality of life. And when we focus on those things, then I think we provide a better community, and we need people to be involved and engaged in those efforts.
I think this is one of those topics where you could probably identify a lot of factors, and but I think when you talk about those two, we hear that probably the most. Traffic concerns,
Yes.
visitors to our city, or those that are struggling to find a home. Those I think our community can resonate with that for sure. So let's talk about one of the big topics in the news, and that's e-bikes. And safety continues to be a topic of interest regarding e-bikes for a lot of our residents. What is the city doing to keep everyone safe, including the riders themselves?
That is a hot topic right now, not only in Fountain Valley, but everywhere.
Yeah.
You can drive around and you see these kids riding these e-bikes and these e-motorcycles, and they're riding a wheelie for a quarter mile, and going straight through stop signs and red lights and through traffic. And the fact of the matter is, they're not trained. They don't have driver's licenses yet, and it's super dangerous. And I know there are plenty of people that are driving on the road that have had close encounters where they've almost hit people, and we have had far too many accidents. And so with any traffic-related issue, I look at things through like the 3 E's, right? We have education, enforcement, and engineering. And so the first 2 things is education. We want people to understand the realities of public safety and e-bikes and how dangerous they are. And we've seen people riding on the sidewalks and in the middle of the street, wrong side of the road. All the things that you in Fountain Valley are seeing, we are aware of those things. And we have put on training courses, like a bicycle rodeo, to train people as to what the rules of the road are, and to promote safety and the use of a helmet and following the rules of the road, to make sure that people are safe. And we've also partnered with Well, we're doing some internal enforcement. When we see activity that is dangerous, we will make proactive stops, and we'll warn people, we'll cite people, and really encourage them to be safe, because that's, we don't want people to get hurt.
Right.
And that's going to happen.
Yes.
And so the education enforcement is part of it. And, right now, I think it's important for parents to know specifically that we have a district attorney right now who is aggressively looking at accountability.
Right.
Specifically with parents.
Yes.
There's a couple of incidents that have made the news, one specifically down in South County where, parents are being prosecuted for contributing to a fatality by allowing their children to ride these dangerous e-bikes and e-motorcycles. But there's also a difference between an e-bike and an e-motorcycle.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because I think that's a distinction that is getting a lot of coverage in the press and in the news. Okay, so e-bike versus e-motorcycle.
Yes, an e-motorcycle is essentially a vehicle that is a motorcycle. You have to have a driver's license to ride those.
Okay.
An e-bike is a bicycle that has pedals, and it has to have pedals to qualify as an e-bike, and then the miles per hour is lower. So e-motorcycles are often converted that they drive faster than what an e-bike would be allowable for an e-bike. Okay. So there are some challenges with that, and a lot of people are actually modifying them and making them go faster than what is safe. And so there are those challenges. So with an e-bike, again, the message is you have to have a driver's license, and an e-bike is an electric assisted bicycle where you actually have pedals and the electric motor assists your bicycle.
So one of the things I'm curious about is the speed. I think a lot of us think we know what we're looking at when there's speeds, but in general, if someone is on even an e-bike and they're moving, we think it's pretty fast. Are there certain miles per hour or certain sort of guidelines that even an e-bike might be, let's say, going faster than it should be?
So if memory serves, and you feel free to fact check me on this, I think that the e-bikes are supposed to go between no more than 20 to 28 miles an hour.
Okay.
And so these e-motorcycles are going far beyond that.
Wow.
And some of these e-bicycles are actually going faster than that as well, if they've been modified and they're not being used in the manner of which they were designed, which is to assist your ability to ride a bicycle.
And if someone is on an e-bike or an e-motorcycle and they pass through one of those speed limit kind of monitoring signs, do they get picked up like a vehicle would be monitored, or how does that work? I was just curious.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure if they would actually be captured.
Okay.
But if we had officers that were present and they were able to witness that violation of the law, whether it be running a stop sign, driving too fast, wrong side of the road, running through red lights, those things, then we're encouraging our officers to be proactive, not only to cite people, because there's a punitive effect with that.
Yeah.
But we want to educate people. We want them to be safe. And sometimes we are seeing the same people make the same mistakes over and over again after being warned. And that's a problem. And I think that's what played into the district attorney's office's decision to prosecute, because there have been warnings issued, and we need parents to parent their young folks.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Chief. So we've also, and this is really nothing new living in Fountain Valley, but we hear conversations about coyotes in the neighborhoods, and what advice do you have for residents when it comes to being coyote ready, as we say?
Well, we're fortunate in the city of Fountain Valley that we have a contract with Orange County Animal Care, and we get a lot of advice from them because they are truly the subject matter experts.
Yeah.
And we've had them actually come down to a recent city council meeting to talk about the coyotes and what to do. And so there are a lot of proactive things that we can do to limit the attraction of coyotes to the community. And some of those things are as simple as, feeding your pets inside. Don't leave food outside. Put lids on your trash cans, and just not create an environment where they would want to scavenge, in a neighborhood. And also with that, we have had some sightings, and you can go on Orange County Animal Care and report those sightings. You can see where they've been sighted. And then also, if you have an encounter, one of the things that is recommended is, there's strategies as to how to haze a coyote.
Haze, that's
Haze
the term.
is the term.
Gotcha.
And essentially that is, put your arms up, wave them about, and yell and make noise and clap your hands and do those type of things. Because typically coyotes don't want to engage, although I know that can be a scary experience. Normally, if you do that, then they will run away. And if you were having an aggressive encounter, then that's when you would want to call 911 if somebody's going to be attacked, and we can get our animal control experts out there to assist with that as investigation as well.
So one of the takeaways from that topic is really keeping food away from the coyotes. If they see something, they smell something, you're going to just be attracting them towards your property. Another maybe unintended visitor are raccoons. I know that seeing in my own neighborhood when those guys smell and get active, when they smell food, they're pretty aggressive. So you might not just get coyotes, you might also get raccoons. So good advice. Thanks, Chief, on that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about California's new daylighting law, which has raised questions from residents. Can you explain what that is and why it matters?
Yes, this was a law that was actually enacted in January of 2025. So it's been around for a little while, and it's designed for public safety.
Okay.
We've had far too many traffic collisions where people have been hit by vehicles in crosswalks, in and around the area of crosswalks, because they weren't, the driver wasn't able to see the pedestrian or the bicyclist. And so what this law does is it requires a space of 20 feet where you're not allowed to park. So it's a parking ordinance.
Okay.
Under the Vehicle Code 22500 subsection N basically says that you're not allowed to park within 20 feet of a marked or an unmarked crosswalk.
Okay.
And you need to keep that area free and clear. And by keeping that area free and clear, the driver has better line of sight. So if there is a pedestrian, they're going to see him sooner and have a more clear picture as to what is in that area, if it's an intersection or just a crosswalk that goes across the street. But it also says that if there is an extension of a curb line, then that the number of feet gets reduced down to 15 feet. Can't park within 15 feet. And it doesn't have to have signage. The curb does not have to be painted red. It is now law that you're just not allowed to park close to these crosswalks.
Okay.
So my recommendation, keep it 20 feet and you'll never get it wrong.
Yeah, that's great.
Simple.
Okay, so you heard that from the chief. This is one of the ways that we're helping keep our community safer and the streets safer for drivers is that daylighting spacing for parking.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Well, let's shift a little bit into, and it's kind of going along with our streets and our parking, but let's talk about the contract with Allied Universal.
Okay.
And this is for citywide parking enforcement. When did they begin providing service for the city, and what is their main role when it comes to issuing parking citations?
Okay, so they started with the city in February of 2025. So they've been around for a little while now, and it's been a really good force multiplier for the city, because if they weren't providing the service, then we would have to do those duties. Which
your officers, basically.
our officers
Yeah, right.
and our
Taken away.
and our police service officers who are in the field,
Yep.
and essentially their primary function is street sweeping. And what I've learned throughout this my transition here, I'm paying attention to a lot more,
Yeah.
and I'm learning a lot, which is really great. And one of the things with regard to street sweeping is that it is a requirement for every city, specifically for water, right?
Yes.
And the cities need to clean their streets so that when water runs off, the water that runs off is cleaner and is easier to sanitize and make usable, as opposed to muddying up the ocean and the runoff.
It's drainage.
It's
improving our
drainage.
Exactly.
So I didn't understand that prior. So that's something that I learned as far as why street sweeping. So it is a mandate, and it is something that we do. That's their primary function. But they also respond to complaints where we have vehicles that are parked in red curbs, too close to fire hydrants, handicap spaces that aren't usable for people that need them. And so we will field those calls, and we will be able to send our allied partners out there to take care of those issues as they serve the city alongside us.
Yeah, and I know that's probably one of the two top issues living in a neighborhood. One is the trash day, and that's different days of the week in neighborhoods, and then street sweeping. So where I live, Public Services comes on Wednesdays, and then Thursdays, the second and the fourth Thursdays of the month are street sweeping. So there are those moments where back-to-back days, you got to figure out the car situation.
That's right.
And for households like us that have 7 cars and may have different schedules, that could be something. What I appreciate is Allied Universal is helping just make that more functional for our neighborhoods.
Yes.
And also Republic Services does a nice job of honking, trying to give some warning to get, let somebody who's not supposed to be parked there, give them a moment, hopefully to come out and move their car for street sweeping, particularly, and also for trash.
I think we've all been there, right? Where you're at home and you hear it, and you're running out there.
Are they on my street?
That's
Are
right.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is good when neighbors help each other and remind each other. If you see a neighbor's car parked out there, just be a good neighbor. Walk over and say, hey, street sweepers coming around a little bit, and just help each other out.
That's great. Yes.
Those fines aren't. They're not fun to get.
No.
And I've received a few tickets myself. Over the course of time.
I remember once when I used to drop off kids to school over at Cox. I actually got a ticket because I left. I didn't know that neighborhood's their schedule, and when I got back after dropping a kid off, there was a ticket, and I paid it, of course. But it's like, darn it,
Me too. And it hurts when it's like,
learn those
lessons.
lessons.
So avoidable.
I know. Yeah. So, Chief, let's talk about, and we've touched on community partnerships, how important it is for us to really kind of be on the same page, understanding a lot of what your department does and what, just day-to-day living here in Fountain Valley. So community partnerships are a key to public safety. How can residents work together with the police department to keep Fountain Valley even safer? What are some of the things they can do together?
I think one of the first steps is just being engaged. And if there's something that you see, then communicate that to us. And I go back to quality of life things. If there are things that aren't stellar, then bring them to the department's attention, and we will work on making those items better. And I think that just goes to just overall community health. And I think that's something that is a good start point, right? And then also being involved in neighborhood watch programs and coming out to community meetings. There are plenty of opportunities to engage with the police department. And I just go back to the recent Summerfest, right? Really cool event that we had here at the park. And, the turnout was amazing. It's a multi-day event. And we actually had our retired senior volunteers out there along with several police officers. And we're able to answer questions and to share information about community happenings and just really what's going on in the city. And I think that's a good way that we can share information. But we also have some things that are coming up. And, for example, we have National Night Out that's coming up on August 4th, I believe. That's the first Tuesday of August.
Yes, excited
for
that.
That'll be a really cool time where, the police department and the community come together. just to kind of celebrate the community and just
Chief,
the safety.
Is that so National Night Out, is that something that all communities kind of try to do that night? Is that
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Just for those that may not know what the National Night Out is, it's not date night.
Right.
It's more like, no, this has to do with public safety.
Yes. And it is an identified date that happens every year.
Okay.
And you'll see these national night outs taking place in every community. So if you're not lucky enough to be in Fountain Valley, check out your own community, because I'm sure there's opportunities to get to know some of the stakeholders in the community and other people who just come out and want to spend some time together. It'll be a really cool event. Then we also have Red Ribbon Week that is coming at the end of October. I think the date was October. The dates this year, I think, are October 23rd through the 31st.
Nice. Okay.
And again, that's to highlight the importance of staying drug free and being sober. And I think there's definitely benefits of not going down that path and talking about it ahead of time, where you have prevention and intervention. Opportunities are really good. So just talking about that specifically with our young folks is definitely key.
And having served on the school board for a few years and having kids in our school district, I've always been impressed with how involved the police department, the officers, special resource officers, community resource officers, all of that partnership. You can see it on campus. You can feel it. It's always a positive vibe. And so we were talking about community partnerships. I just wanted to share my appreciation because I think a lot of families feel the same way. They know, 24 hours a day that there's that kind of protection, but it extends onto the school campus as well. And so I think that's another plus for making Fountain Valley such a nice place to live.
It is, and we have stellar people in our police department.
Really do.
And I'm going to share a quick story about our recent Youth and Government Day. And we had students that came and visited. We had a police booth, fire department had a booth, Public Works, right? Like, so everybody got to come see what the city does and the different functions, including the inner workings of the city. The city clerk, right? And so what does it take to actually run a city? And I'm gonna give a shout out here to Officer Danielle Furman. And so she was entertaining kids about what it is to be a police officer and the different gear that we carry. And she was talking about her taser, which is an electronic control device. And explaining this to kids, she was talking about it being her Pikachu tool.
Pikachu, okay.
Okay, so I'm listening.
Okay.
And Pikachu is yellow and black.
Okay.
Tasers are yellow and black. And so she asked the kids, like, what is Pikachu's special tool? They said electricity, right?
Okay, yeah.
What is it? A taser? It's an electronic control device. And so she was able to communicate in terms that kids would understand and really just create a positive encounter with a police officer. And I think sometimes that's lacking. We can get really busy with running from call to call to call, and we deal with things that are negative in nature all the time.
Yeah.
People call us when something bad happens. Your phone was stolen, your car was broken into, you went to start your car and it sounded like a Volkswagen because your catalytic converter was stolen, right?
Yeah.
Those type of things, or we're the red light in the mirror. So there's always a negative context.
Yeah.
So we need to create these opportunities for positive encounters, and that's how we're going to change the image of our police department and every other department throughout the country as well. We need to create those opportunities to reinforce the fact that we're the good guys, and it's a privilege to do this job. And it also is a good opportunity for us to remind our folks internally that this is why we chose this profession. We chose this profession to help others, but we do respond to a lot of negative things over time. So we need to have those reminders of we do this for the good, although we're dealing with negative components within the community more often than not.
Oh, thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some upcoming programs, initiatives, or events that the residents should know about? I know we talked about Red Ribbon Week, the National Night Out, but are there any other kind of things that you think it would be worth sharing with our worldwide audience?
So I think those are the top two that come to mind right
Okay.
now. But as a city, we always have things going on. So if you live in the city of Fountain Valley, you visit, I would encourage you to go to our city website. You can look at what we have going on at the sports park, Miles Square Park here. There are events happening all the time, and you can pop in on any weekend day, and the park is going to be full of people. Whether they're running around the park, walking dogs, or you have kids that are involved in sports at the park. It's the happening place.
So as we wrap up our time, Chief, is there any messaging or any thoughts you'd like to share with our Fountain Valley community who will be watching this and maybe pondering, hey, I wonder if they do this, or I wonder if there's something about the police department that maybe most people don't know. This sort of happens behind the scenes, but something kind of special that we can share with our viewers.
Well, I think I'll use this moment to brag about the police department.
All right.
You've got some really good folks that work here, and what I would say is that some of them live outside of the area, and they drive past multiple cities to come to work. And they do that because they love it here. This is a great place to work. I would also say that we have a really supportive community. And I know I've said that a few times, but it's absolutely true. And then also a not so shameless plug at the end, we're hiring. We are hiring.
Hear that, folks?
We're looking for police officers. We're looking for dispatchers. If you have a desire to serve in that capacity in the city of Fountain Valley specifically, again, you can go on the Fountain Valley website, look at employment opportunities, and these job opportunities will come up. And I would encourage you to apply. We need talent, and we want people that already love this city to work here. So again, I just appreciate the time this morning and the talk. We've got a lot of good things going on, plenty of room for progress, but we've got a lot of good things, and we're moving in the right direction.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you, Chief, getting to know some of your thoughts. Now that you've been in this position for a few months, I can tell you it's been a pleasure to work with you day in and day out. And one of the things I really appreciate is you just have a positive attitude about this. I know you're closer to home, so that's got to be a factor, just overall work-life balance.
The commute is fantastic.
Yeah. But I think it's really interesting that you come from LAPD, the storied force that TV shows have been made about. So it's sort of like we get a police chief plus, right? You've got all of these life experiences, but as you said, you've always sort of been rooted in this community, and I think that's extra special for us as a city team, as a community. And so, any last thoughts, Chief, as we wrap it up here?
Well, I appreciate that. I did have a long career with LAPD, and it's 35 miles away, and it feels like a different world in some ways. And again, I was able to get a lot of sets and reps in with the volume that they have of crime, which is fortunately not what we have here in Fountain Valley. Violent crime is very low here. Thankfully, we need to keep it that way.
Yes.
Property crime is an issue, right? We have burglaries that occur and thefts that occur, and that is our current challenge. So my strategy is to figure out, or my job is to figure out the strategy to mitigate those crimes. And we need to know when they're taking place, day of the week, time of day, so that we can deploy appropriately to make sure that we are doing our job to protect this community and to keep it free of crime and violence. You know, my philosophy is that one crime is too many, and we really need to work to create that community that is free of crime, where everybody can live their life and do the things that they want to do without fear of something bad happening.
Great.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you on A Nice Place to Podcast, Chief. And so we'll sign off now. Looking forward to working with you and all of the good things that we do together as a team. And so for now, we're signing off. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Moment with the Mayor. If you'd like to be a guest or have a topic you'd like covered, email us at fvproud@fountainvalley.gov.